Alright guys, we have an urgent breaking news coming out. The US Senate has passed the Jeffrey files just moments after it was sent over from the House by unanimous consent. It now heads to the desk of President Trump. Alright, buckle up. This is going to be a big one. Alright guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters, a prayer request, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife Jessica Santiago at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida 34691. So I did post a video over at Grand Supreme News. The House passed it. Now this video here, the Senate passed it. Now it's going to go to the president's desk where he signs it, and the files will be released across America. The names, everything will be revealed. I prayed that the victim names will be hidden, but I got a feeling that, again, they're going to release everything. All right, so buckle up. There's going to be a lot of names. Billionaires, possibly. Foreigners, possibly. This is gonna affect the system. I do believe there's gonna be a massive shift going on in our country. So we're gonna be seeing a lot of names there, guys. There's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe they're gonna hide the names and all that type of baloney stuff. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So the Senate moved swiftly to approve legislation Tuesday, forcing the Justice Department to release more information about the case it built against the late you-know-who Jeffrey, acting hours after an overwhelming House vote to send the bill to the desk of the U.S. commander, who spent months trying to kill it. Now, the Senate acted by unanimous consent, which requires sign-off from every senator, but does not require them to take a roll call vote. Earlier in the day, the House approved the bill on a 427-1. Are you serious? That one is a Republican. All right, man, 427-1. Man, wow. Man. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said, I'm going to read the names out of every single person that was in the island that did bad things to the young ones and to the women. She's not playing around. And so you got Donald calling her a traitor. So it's just, why are you calling her a traitor? Again, I stand with Marjorie. I do. I mean, again, you call her a traitor for what? She stands with the sleeping giant citizens. She's Donna, she's basically doing your job. She's draining the swamp. Meanwhile, you're trying to ditch the Jeffrey story and try to put it under the rug a few months ago. You even released the Martin Luther King file, which a lot of people were not basically into that. You try to cover up everything. It says here, this is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for. Chucky, stop. Chuck, stop. Stop it, Chuck. Stop it. Because you guys had the House, the Senate, and the White House for 4 years under Joe. You guys would have released those files a few years ago, and you didn't. Actually, the Americans were telling you guys to release it. You guys refused it. These left and right, it gives you a headache. So Chuck is saying this is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for. Chuck, you should have released it years ago. So again, said before asking for the bill's approval. Jeffrey Victor have waited long enough. Chuck, you, Joe, Nancy, you guys had 4 years to release that. Tuesday's vote caps off a month of drama among congressional rights and the White House over how to handle the files, pitting the right lawmakers between the Donald and their own base. There's going to be a lot of things to come, so buckle up. That included a long campaign to circumvent the House leaders and the White House officials who fought tooth and nail to convince members of their party to oppose the measures. As the left sought to stoke division in the GOP over the administration's decision to withhold further information in the Jeffrey case, the issue proved increasingly toxic for the right, and Tuesday's vote became inevitable. I got a strong feeling something bad is going to hit the fan. There's a possibility Donald's name is in it. Who knows? Again, people that he knows, maybe foreign leaders out there. I mean, again, this is gonna change the ball game forever. And a lot of people is gonna be like, wait a minute, 90% of these people are running this country. They should be thrown in, you know what, in a can. We have a chance today to make something happen, something that has not happened and should have happened decades ago. And that is to get justice for these victims and survivors and transparency for America, said Representative Thomas, Republican from Kentucky, who led the effort to force a House vote, later adding that he was embarrassed for my own party today. Embarrassed? The entire country is embarrassed. You got both party playing this game, hot potato. Nobody want to release the files. Only Representative Clay, Republican from Louisiana, a fervent Donald loyalist, voted against it. Victims of the Jeffrey who had gathered in the House gallery cheered as the vote closed. Once again, the Senate GOP leadership had previously downplayed the odds that their chamber would take up the House bill, raising the likelihood that even if Macy and his allies were successful, it would just be buried across the Capitol. That all changed over the weekend. And Monday, when Donald reversed course and urged the House lawmakers to pass the bill and said that he would sign it, that reflected concern that the fight was threatening to overshadow the party's message as Donald tries to focus on the rising cost of living. Speaker Johnson called on the Senate to add more privacy protection for victims. Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with Johnson. We need to, again, let's release the other stuff, but we need to make sure that the victims are protected. Their names, but everybody else, those that did really bad things, yeah, expose them to the light. All right, so a concerned Higgins cited in the explaining his vote against the bill, but that could have required the bill to come back to the House for the final approval. Man, it's going to be a big one. There is a broad desire in the GOP to pass the bill and move on to the other legislative business. And Thune predicted that it would move fairly quickly through the Senate without changes. The political quagmire began for the right in July when the Department of Justice released a memo saying it would not disclose further information in the Jeffrey case. Quickly, the left accused Donald and his allies of reneging on a commitment to transparency. The pressure culminated at an otherwise routine House Oversight Subcommittee hearing in July, just ahead of the chamber's summer recess. Once again, the left lawmakers, joined by a few of the right, voted to subpoena information from the Justice Department in the Jeffrey case, launching a wide-ranging oversight probe into Jeffrey and the Justice Department handling of the case. Here's the thing. If there's a lot of names that those names, people running the sleeping giant, the military should get involved and start arresting these Looney Tunes. Again, they have committed, fraud and everything, lawlessness, and did really bad stuff, and they empower. And this include, if Donald was also part of it, this includes him too. I know a lot of people's not going to agree with me, but again, if there's a lot of information that he was there, or Chuck, or anybody. Again, I don't stand with another. Again, I'm not saying Donald might have done something. All I'm saying is name pops up. Again, justice needs to be served. Justice needs to be served. Now, again, I'm not saying Donald's name is on it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if, I don't back these people when they do stuff like that. House GOP leaders have repeatedly pointed to that probe to argue that the effort led by Massey and Representative Rowe, Democrat for California, to discharge the measures from committee and force an up or down vote on the legislation was unnecessary. The bill would compel only the Justice Department to release info in its possession within 30 days of its enactment. Excuse me, guys. So the oversight panel has already subpoenaed Jeffrey State, which produced a birthday book and a number of emails that contain materials damaging to the U.S. commander. The U.S. commander relationship with the convicted you-know-who has since intense scrutiny with the left, accusing him of supporting a cover-up. The U.S. commander has maintained the two had a falling out years ago, and no evidence has linked Donald to wrongdoing in the Jeffrey case. But recent revelation in emails sent by Jeffrey suggested Donald knew about the girls, and the news has only increased pressure on his administration to release further info in the case. I don't know, guys. I got a feeling some kind of impeachment's coming. Something is coming. There's going to be a lot of people that's going to be exposed. Again, like I said, I'm not saying Donald might have done something, but if his name popped up, there could be some impeachment stuff that could be taken ASAP. The Justice Department has so far released relatively few non-public materials to lawmakers as part of the oversight probe, which was partially held up by the recent 43-day Gov shutdown, but many GOP lawmakers doubt that the bill will trigger the release of much new info from DOJ, including Oversight Chair James Comer, Republican for Kentucky. I think the Department of Justice has turned over what they're legally allowed to turn over. Now, even before the Massey discharge effort has succeeded and the bill passed the House, Senate left were preparing to force Thune and his GOP members to vote quickly on the bill. Chuck warned that the left would oppose any efforts to water down the House language before it was sent on to the president's desk, and relished the GOP infighting. All right. It says here, in trying to hide the truth, Donald has provoked the fiercest rebellion that he has faced among his supporters, both in Congress and the country, Chuck said. Chuck, be quiet, man, because, again, you have 4 years, dude. You have 4 years, and you guys were hiding it. Here's the thing, guys. These two parties are playing games now, all right? Because, again, the left would have released it. They didn't want to. All right, they just hid it. And many times Americans was like, release it, they wouldn't. Now that Donald is in the spotlight, they're going after Donald. Why won't you release it? You guys have 4 years. Now, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Donald really screwed up. Months ago, he would have released it. But he came out and said, Attorney General Pam Bondi said there's no list. End of story. Let's go with the next news. Americans was like, hold on, Donald. Hold on. What do you mean there's no list? He kind of hurt himself on that one. All right, guys. So I'm just going to skip the rest of this here. Hold on. Give me a second. Donald and White House officials specifically pushed the 3 Republican women who signed onto the discharge petition. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her name has been trending. And then you have Lauren and Nancy Mace to take their names off the effort, especially once it was clear that the swearing in of the left representative, Andalita, would prompt a vote. Man, things are gonna get really intense pretty soon, guys. Give me a second here. We're gonna skip a lot of the story of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've been posting videos left and right over my third channel. Check out the videos, guys. A link will be in the description box and the comments box. I'm gonna read this last part. This has been one of the most destructive things the MAGA is watching the man that we supported early on 3 election opposed the bill, Greene told reporters on Tuesday. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. Can this be the final of the MAGA? But this is also going to hurt the other party too. Hold on. Donald, all caps. Well, actually, it's not all caps. Breaking news. Donald just put out this information here. Donald said, I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all of the victories that we've had, including the great, big, beautiful bill. Close borders. No, you know what, in women's sports, or blah, 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 blah. Ending the, you know what, stopping Joe records, setting inflation, biggest tax, okay, we already know this, skip. Stopping 8 wars and rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, having trillions of dollars invested in the USA, having created the hottest country in the world, anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the left on a shutdown. All right. Donald, here's the thing, man. I like a lot of your stuff, policy, but again, sometimes you're not the first term Donald that we once knew. All right, here's the thing, Donald. You're acting like everything is great. The economy is booming and everything. The poor and the middle class are getting hit. The cost of living is high. All right. Again, 3 bedrooms in Florida is almost $3,000 a month. It used to be $900 when it was your first term president, or $800. Cost of living is bad. The poor and the middle class are getting hit. The rich is getting richer. Donald, I appreciate all the success and how you're trying to stop the war, and I appreciate the southern region. You sealed that up, but again, sometimes you could be a little prideful. You got to be humble, all right? And again, Americans are struggling. I got 3 jobs. Americans are living paycheck to paycheck nowadays. All right, so this is all the information here. Give me a second here. Donald, let's see what's going on with it. Breaking: Senate anonymously sends the files bill to Donald's desk. All right, we already know this. Okay. All right, guys, so this is all the information here. Like, subscribe, and share. We are seeing some changes happening, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. So Donald is going to have to, again, the Senate, the House, they passed it. Will Donald sign it? If he signs it, all this information will be released to the public. And let's see how all this plays out, guys. But I got a feeling that things are not going to look good. There's going to be some names in there. And it's going to change people's lives forever. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Till next time later. Peace.